hitch a ride on a Drakan, try the fastest racer ever, and finally fantasy hits the movies. It's unstoppable. It's Cybernet. Welcome to the show, you big bunch of speed freaks. We kick off proceedings this week with reputably the fastest game on the market. This beautiful looking racer is Extreme G3 on the PS2. If you're a regular viewer of Cybernet, you might have spotted our ultra-early preview of Wipeout Fusion on the PS2. Well, XG3 not only looks faster, but it has some of the most outlandish courses ever designed. If Christopher Wren were alive today, and in a slightly wacky mood, he'd be designing these crazy beauties. XG3 lies somewhere between a roller coaster and a moon launch. Travelling at or beyond the speed of sound, you must negotiate your way around head-spinning loop-the-loops, speed tunnels, vertical drops, and some endlessly stomach-churning corkscrews. Pay any attention to the backgrounds, and you're going to start feeling queasy. Trip to the XG Mall and you'll find a host of weapon upgrades for your motor in order to debilitate the competition. During league racing, you have to fight up to 11 other riders. If you don't make the required position, there are no second chances. Aside from the single-player league and arcade competitions, there's a two-player mode where you can race with a buddy and compete on the same team. Unfortunately, though, you can't load bikes into this mode. Each time you change partners, you have to start upgrading from the beginning. It's a small gripe in an otherwise excellent game. Extreme G3 is fast, stylish, fast, aggressive and fast. We'll have to wait and see if Wipeout Fusion can match the pace. There's a whole different world beneath the waves, and if you want proof, look no further, as we're about to explore this mysterious watery kingdom. This is The Living Sea, an interactive CD-ROM that aims to teach you the difference between all types of sea life, from fishes to plants. The package contains superb reconstructions of marine scenes, but there's much more to do than simply enjoy the view. There are games where you have to swim safely through a shoal of lethal jellyfish or escape from a labyrinth where all exits are closely guarded by crabs. I bet those claws hurt. If you manage to escape the clutches of the canny crustaceans, then you can visit the workshops. Here you can listen to sea sounds and match them with the correct images, or learn to recognize different shellfish before the tide comes in. There's also a colouring set and a scallop orchestra where you can play along with your fishy friends. The Living Sea is a superb package and contains many interesting facts for younger children. The information is presented clearly and many of the activities are humorous. We think this is one title that will definitely swim rather than sink. The PS2 certainly isn't short of Formula 1 games, but Driven is due to hit the track later this year. So what's so special about this racer?
Driven's the latest game for PS2 by BAM's European development team. It's based on the movie Driven by Sly Stallone, and we've taken elements of the film and incorporated them into a game.
Driven features cars and characters from the movie and hopes to give gamers a chance to play as their screen idols. But it's the actual tracks which sound most exciting.
We've got a range of tracks. We've got oval circuits, which range from sort of Arizona desert-based oval. We've got an England Manly Park oval, which is one of our own inventions. We've also got city-based circuits where they actually take a city street and turn them into a circuit. We've got California for that and New York as well. And then we've got a German circuit, which is basically a traditional racing circuit, a real hardcore racer. It's going to be a good one for the fans, that one. It's going to be good fun.
Driven is out later this year, and it's shaping up to be a great racer. It may not be as realistic as some simulations, but it certainly looks like fun. Time for more racing action now, but things are going to get a little dirtier. Hold tight for a trip into the insane world of off-road stadium racing in Leadfoot for the PC. In this racing game, players must drive sturdy pickup trucks and buggies around looping indoor and outdoor stadium circuits. Each of the 180 championship events are littered with water jumps, twisting turns, and other obstacles which are strategically placed to stop your truck in its tracks. Therefore, learning how to confidently control a 4x4 monster is the game's biggest challenge. Start the game as an amateur with only limited funds to buy their first truck. Winning races and collecting prize money allows racers to move up the ranks and afford better vehicles, or to upgrade engine parts to make their truck drive like the wind. Leadfoot is a fun game which captures the spirit of stadium driving and the heavy handling unique to off-road vehicles. Some racing fans may struggle with the steep learning curve, but once you've got used to controlling the trucks, you'll be glued to your PC until you've cracked every challenge. Are you a funky hipster with the dance moves to match, or do you have less rhythm than a convulsing chimp? If so, don't despair, because help is on hand from the internet. Look in the right places and you'll find all you need to turn you from an uncoordinated misfit into a dance floor diva. A good place to start is at bustermoves.com, which offers maneuvers and techniques for a range of dancing styles. So whether you fancy some salsa, a bit of a waltz, or even a little swing, there's plenty here to get you started. Like most dance sites on the web, if you want more detailed instructions, you'll have to pay a fee. Look hard enough, however, and you'll find some tuition that's absolutely free. At this site, you can be taught the wonder of swing by none other than Nick Felix, dance instructor to the stars. No, we've never heard of him either, but he certainly has some fancy moves for a fella his age. Nick takes you through all the basics as well as some more advanced moves. Who knows, with a little practice, you too could be the star at the next family wedding.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, back, rough. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, back, rough.
But if you want something a little more up-to-date, then why not be inspired by Queen of Pop Britney Spears? At one of the hundreds of sites dedicated to her, there's a neat little section that teaches you how to dance like her too. You can study the step-by-step stills and then check out how the dances look in motion thanks to this hyperactive fan. So what are you waiting for? Follow this guy's lead and start shaking your stuff. Game of the Week is arguably one of the best sports titles on any platform. It's a game that's as fun to play today as it was when it first arrived on our doorstep. It's the incredible Virtua Tennis. Featuring some of the best racket wielders in the world, the game looks fabulous with stunning animations and detailed players, even if they do look a little scary close up. The game's real appeal, however, is in its simplicity. Just 2 buttons and the direction pad are utilised, allowing even novices to produce rollicking rallies with ease. Extra features not seen in the arcade version include an engrossing World Tour mode where you face a set of increasingly difficult tennis challenges. The prize money you earn can be used in the tennis shop, where you'll be able to purchase items as varied as a doubles partner or a lovely short-sleeved shirt. Best of all, though, are these crazy training exercises. We're pretty sure that world-class players don't really practice by aiming at giant beach balls, but you never know. Virtua Tennis is the kind of title consoles were made for. Simple, compulsive, and a huge amount of fun. Even today, it still gets our juices flowing, if only to see a British tennis player actually win something. Okay, time for our competition now, so grab a pen. This week's prize is an N64 and a copy of Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, to play on it. So join in the quest to bring peace to the happy fairy people in this fantastic adventure. To win this prize, just call our number and answer this question. Which direction do crabs walk in? Is it A, sideways, B, forwards, or C, backwards? If you think you know, call 09009 113333. Please dial carefully and don't forget your permission from the person who pays the telephone bill first. We'll put up the question and number again at the end of today's show, so get dialing and good luck. And Unraveled Unreal Tournament, prepare for a new challenge. This is Outtrigger, an explosive new action game on the Dreamcast. Played from either a third or first-person perspective, Outtrigger launches you into a variety of challenge-based levels. Some follow the traditional route of asking you to rack up as many points as possible in a huge free-for-all. Others employ slightly more original targets, such as locating and destroying hidden explosives. There are neat power-ups to pick up along the way, including this nifty thermal imaging camera, as well as some mean and nasty bosses to square up to. These duels usually result in a headache-inducing face-off. The graphics, as we've come to expect from the Dreamcast, are bright, bold and solid. However, so much happens on screen at the same time that you often find yourself a little overwhelmed by everything that's happening around you. This isn't helped by a heads-up display doing its level best to obscure your view. One of the game's strongest features is its four-player mode. Although only playable from a first-person perspective, each player's window runs quickly and smoothly, and a wide range of activities are available. Anyone who likes their action games to be thoughtful and strategy-led should give this a very wide berth indeed. But if you want a quick dose of mindless chaos, Outtrigger should easily hit the spot. Now on Cybernet, we take a closer look at some stunning early preview footage from the PS2 action-adventure Drakan. A conversion from 1999's warmly received PC original, you play female sword wielder Rin on a quest to defeat the evil sorcerer Navros. Comparisons to Tomb Raider are inevitable, but instead of a modern heroine packing twin pistols and shooting the wildlife, Drakan takes place in a mythical past with swords, spears and crossbows among the 50 or so weapons to choose from. Overall, this gives a much more authentic feel to the action. There are plenty of dragons. The blend of ground-based fighting and acrobatic aerial combat adds a much-needed boost of flair to the genre. As well as making your exploration of the land more dynamic, allowing you terrific views from any height, it's also wickedly good fun. Weapons are rated for speed, range, damage and durability, which means that you'll have to pick them carefully depending on the enemy. Along the way, there are also magic attacks and weapons to find, which you'll need to defeat particularly difficult end-of-level bosses. The only drawbacks so far are the puzzles, which may be too simple, but with visuals as gorgeous and fluid as these are, for a game that's only 50% complete, Drakan looks very, very promising. Time now for a look at the top 10 games on the Dreamcast. At 10, defying gravity and performing stunts that you really shouldn't try at home, it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Also defying gravity, but in a slightly more conventional way, are those super-looking aircraft from Skies of Arcadia at 9. Lurking in the darker corners and facing danger without so much as a whimper, Shadow Man is at 8. At 7, you definitely ask for your money back if this was your holiday destination. It's Alone in the Dark. BMX champion and Tony Hawk's mate, it's Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX at number 6. They may be small, but these miniature racers can still burn rubber. Revolt clings onto the number 5 position. At 4, be honest, it's a ridiculous outfit. Well, I wouldn't wear it. It's our favourite arachnid, Spider-Man. It's the strangest and most amazing collection of vehicles on the road. Wacky Races is at 3. This man's obviously never read the highway code. The perilous Crazy Taxi 2 is at 2. But the blue hedgehog with the super fast legs is clinging onto the number 1 position in Sonic Adventure 2. Will anyone ever catch him?
For the police, high-speed pursuits are a fact of life. The last thing fleeing fugitives care about is the safety of themselves and others. The only way to protect the innocent and the guilty is to rely upon instincts honed by intense training.
Those wise words come from Sheriff John Burnell, host of the American TV show World's Scariest Police Chases. This series follows real law enforcers as they pursue wrongdoers in terrifying car chases. And now you can join the fight for justice in a game inspired by the show. The PlayStation title set in a city called Ashland, where players have to stop runaways before they escape the long arm of the law. The best way to stop a fleeing bad guy is to ram his car until it can't move any further. But be careful that you don't destroy your own police cruiser in the process. Weapons can also be used to disable vehicles, but steering and aiming at the same time can take practice. World's Scariest Police Chases looks a lot like the PS1 classic Driver, but the controls aren't as sophisticated. However, the thrill of chasing lawbreakers will keep you returning to the game, and the city is so large that you'll need to play for months to discover all the shortcuts. So if you fancy upholding the law, this game's definitely worth a shot. Over the years, Japanese designers Squaresoft have turned the creation of computer-generated cutscenes into something of an art form. Their Final Fantasy games are famously punctuated by some of the most incredible FMV ever seen. As a result, the games have been given an almost movie-like quality, leading to an obvious progression.
You okay?
This is Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, a big-budget movie inspired by the video games and rendered entirely by computers. But unlike the cartoonish charms of Toy Story and Ants, this movie has a level of detail like no other computer-generated film before it.
So I gather this will be somewhat of a rough ride.
The film's director is Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of the Final Fantasy series. The movie is a result of his desire to see a collaboration between his Squaresoft artists and their American counterparts.
We opened a game studio in LA 5 years ago where we worked together with many Hollywood studio artists. That was also the time when we were just starting to make Final Fantasy VII in Japan. That's when I envisioned having the artist I met in LA and the talented staff in Japan working together in the same studio, working together on a major project.
The quality of the resulting work was enough to secure the involvement of a whole host of Hollywood stars eager to lend their vocal talents. The advantages of portraying an entirely computer-generated character obviously weren't lost on some.
Good news is that I don't have to look like Gray in any way, you know. They draw Gray, you know, and they animate Gray, and they computer-generate Gray, and they can make Gray perfect in every way that I'm not perfect.
But while he may joke now, it's entirely possible that this new breed of synthetic actors could eventually put Mr. Baldwin and his fellow thespians out of a job.
Our digital actors don't age, of course, and since they're computer-generated, we can make them younger or older as desired. Using digital actors may eliminate restrictions on stories, or perhaps lead to completely unexpected scenarios in the movies of the future.
Until then, this movie is totally unique. It doesn't even borrow characters or storylines from the best-selling games which share its name.
Every sequel of Final Fantasy series have different characters, different background, different story setting. But the underlying theme of life, spirits, love, you know, all those, the basic message that Sakaguchi puts into every one of his Final Fantasy sequels, I think it's there in our feature film.
So while the movie has a distinctive Final Fantasy flavor, no knowledge of the games is required to enjoy it.
I just think it'll be a terrific movie. I think it'll be a real crowd pleaser. Those Final Fantasy fans will love it, but I think it'll go out way beyond that. I think people who don't even know about Final Fantasy will say, wow, I've heard this movie. Great, I want to see it.
The faces in the games may keep changing, but Squaresoft's desire to top their previous efforts stays the same. And with the experience and skills acquired during the production of this movie, the next installments of the Final Fantasy video games could be the most visually stunning yet. Ouch, that hurt. That's the end of this show, sci-fi fans, but Cybernet will be back with even more fantastic games and features from around the world soon. The gameplay will be an interesting mix of genres. Although predominantly an action-adventure, the various characters you meet along the way will involve you in sub-quests, which include driving and strategy sections. Combine this with immersive music and effects, and it looks as if the PlayStation 2 is finally going to get the software it deserves. This is definitely one to watch. Nothing else gives us a warm glow quite like helping fellow gamers, so we're going to increase the heat for all you Dreamcast owners. Yes, it's tactics time again, and if you've been chilling out with Sno Cross Championship racing, you'll be surprised to hear that there's a secret racing mode. If you want to know more, grab a pen. At the options screen, hold the right trigger and push right, right, left, left, right, right, and then release the trigger. Now start a new race and you'll discover that your high-powered snowmobile has been transformed into a go-kart, the perfect vehicle for some slippery fun. Now you can whiz around the tracks at high speed with your body just inches from the ground. This cheat won't help you win any races or beat the game, but you have to admit that